This is where Silent Hill 2 was created, here in Tokyo, somewhere on the 42nd floor of these buildings.
Old school computers.
Counting the graphics designers, programmers and musicians, over 50 people worked for nearly 2 years on this project.
Wow.
But Silent Hill 2 would not have come to light without these three. Imamura, the producer, Sato, in charge of designing the characters and cinematic visuals, and Yamaoka,
Spoy, thanks a lot for that follow. Popcorn Hill 2.
Very ingenious, but they say it's like being married because they all worked together on the first Silent Hill.
Wow, look at them, how they work there.
They've gone much further because Silent Hill 2 is a lot more than just a horror game, more a terrible love story.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see
Every
me.
detail of the game is conceived to shake you up mentally and emotionally.
I'm here for you, James. See? Unreal.
This is the artistry of these alchemists of the emotions.
Those screens, yeah, the good old screens. Repulsion and attraction.
Silent Hill are based on a concept of simultaneous repulsion and attraction. That's one way to define their impact. Strangely enough, they look nasty and disgust us, but also they have their own kind of charm, which is just the effect that the art director was trying to achieve, of course.
嫌なんだけども、その場にいたくないんだけども、なんか興味をそそられてしまうっていうか、そのさっきも言いましたけど、その異様な感じですか。
It is mysterious, indeed it is.
Before creating the images for these grim visual backgrounds, Tsuboyama went to shoot a few stills. It may sound odd, but these stills are perhaps the most important images of all. The bathroom was the very first room modelled by the art director. This was the first image created for the visual background. In a way, it served as the graphics bible for creating the other visual backgrounds.
It's interesting to see that program.
Start the game indoors.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
Ah, we really started here in the toilet, actually. True, yeah?
A different rationale applied to the exterior visual backgrounds. The idea was to give the impression that the city is larger than you'd imagined. Certain sequences that might seem overlong were inserted deliberately to convey a feeling of isolation.
Yeah, in the beginning I was feeling like... At the beginning of the game, we deliberately made the descent through the forest towards the cemetery longer. I felt it super long. It's so long, you don't feel like turning back. At the same time, it makes you realize just how totally isolated the city is. And you also. We knew it was a bit risky in terms of gameplay, but we really wanted to take our chances and do it. Yeah, it was risky because I felt a bit like it was too long for me in the beginning. It was really like daunting.
Filter to dirty the images while giving them character. Here's what Silent Hill 2 would have looked like if its creators had not used this ingenious process. Always trying to take us by surprise, the graphics designers had fun planting a few disturbing elements throughout the game that go unnoticed at first. For instance, there's that body in front of the television. You don't realize it, but you know that face.
This corpse is James himself. Same face, same polygonal model structure. In fact, this is an image straight out of James' imagination. What?
From James's brain. That dress on the tailor's dummy, holding the flashlight. You've seen that dress before. It's Mary's. All of these mysterious details come together to form a visual background ideal for conveying impressions of solitude, suggesting a parallel dimension, the perfect substrate for showcasing such elaborate and ambiguous characters.
Creation of the characters, emotion and ambiguity.
Of course, it's James, the hero of Silent Hill 2, but just like in the first Silent Hill, the main character does not have the key role.
Mary?
Welcome, we just finished the game. We're looking at the making of.
Maria is a fascinating woman who epitomizes the ambiguity of Silent Hill 2.
From this version.
I don't look like a ghost, do I?
It's like the reaction now.
disturbing, and sometimes looks cute. And there's no specific model of her.
With her disturbing ambivalence, the Maria character has much more appeal than other heroines.
Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me.
I love the choker she wears.
For example, the one of Final Fantasy the movie. Sato explains why.
She ran away.
But the main girl character doesn't have a wrinkle, and doesn't have a kind of a bad point.
I made one
she
just
is
like it,
kind of
cool.
Perfect. For example, if you are attracted by some woman, she's not perfect. If you take her pictures, sometimes her face is like that. It's not perfect, but if always she's perfect, I guess you want love her. You are in love with her because she's human. She has character. That character has a bad point. Of course, bad point, and good point. They didn't make that, but it's more real than Silent Hill 2nd. From visual or technique point of view. But I think I made more realistic work.
It's very interesting to see the insides of
So
the
Maria
developers.
is a woman who has her weak points, but takes full responsibility for them. She flaunts her tummy with a little roll of flab.
Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes.
In the 2000s, the girls were using a lot of this like
She
things.
tried to conceal
Like
the
what
brown
she
spots
has.
on her skin,
Not with the choker though.
cheeks with respect to some parts of the body.
It's quite quiet, Skern. Oh, thanks.
I think she
Thanks,
is a
Draco.
brunette. She's not blonde.
Darko, sorry.
She dyed, red, and she dyed, she bleached.
These details make her seem very real, a woman with appeal. Sato explains, actually Maria was sexier when we first started out, but her plunging neckline gave us too many technical problems, and we weren't happy with the way the graphics looked.
Darko is another movie. True. Look how young they
A woman
are.
like that isn't much without a lively,
like young.
expressive face. So Sato threw himself into his work on this part of the animation.
It's our artist at work. Wow.
I tried to act sexy in front of mirror, and just open half the eyes, and move the under lip sexier like that. In the office, that was perfect.
Boobas gave them
As a matter
graphical
of fact,
problems,
to
yeah.
obtain better results in face animation, Sato did not resort to motion capture.
I couldn't trust the face motion capture. That motion capture system took just the position of the skin. If you open the mouth, muscles around here is tightened, but motion capture cannot capture it. But if I make them in front of mirror, I can notice it. I can capture it. That's most of most biggest reason.
I would love to have some of the
By
sketches
doing
we
the
saw
animation
before.
by
Yeah,
hand, you can
super cool.
combine dozens of expressions and come up with just the right one, even the most absurd. On the other hand, motion capture was used for the body sequences. In other words, these motions were carefully thought out, or rather, carefully observed. The actress playing Maria struck poses that would turn the head of any red-blooded male player.
That's how they did the motion capture. Cool.
The animators simply had to transpose these sexy poses.
Look, that's how it looks in the game, yeah? Oh, what a great game. It's kind of cool that we have also now
For the finishing touch, all they needed was a voice that would bring the face to life.
in the box.
Between 50 and 60 people from Japan
This
and the
video.
United States were auditioned, and only 5 of them were hired.
Look at them.
By the way,
Cool.
the same persons who made the motion capture.
What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there.
Killing a person ain't no.
You must be thinking 5? That's funny. There are 6 characters. That's easy to explain. The same person played Maria and Mary. Once again, it's no accident.
Same polygon structure of a face. Exactly same. You know, a little bit skull shape is different, and Maria can make Mary's face.
They look a
Mary
bit
can
different.
make Maria's face.
But it's they look because of the hair,
But,
but it's
Gimmick of the face, like a skeleton, and muscle structure is a little bit different.
a bit different. Yeah, I see a bit of difference, yeah.
Now, unlike James, Angela is really bizarre. In the game, she's supposed to be 16 or 17. She
Oh,
doesn't
young.
look like a teenager.
At all, she looks older, like 30 or
It's
something.
not, usual teenagers. One has something, I think, and I try to, make her face special, has something inside. Then, that's why I made, these lines, these shadows. She has a kind of a Schwarzenegger mouth, and try to make her face animation, a little bit uncomfortable.
Lost?
That makes her look more older.
The design team aimed to make Angela look older and opted for an older voice. The actress playing Angela is about 40.
That's the fire part that we saw now in the ending, or? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the fire
Last but
part.
not least, there's Eddie.
Eddie, our hero, who got a butt crack.
Excuse me. Whose creation was kind of funny.
It's funny how they move, yeah.
キャラクター自体は、僕の友人がモデルです。
A friend of mine is Eddie's physical model.
Who, for your information, doesn't know about it. Fortunately, he only borrowed his friend's physical characteristics because Eddie is maybe the most deranged of all. He appears heavy and clumsy due to a number of subtle details.
You killed him?
His pupil a little bit wider, open a little bit wider from another characters. His eye direction is another direction.
Friend loves bowling alley pizza.
His eyes move a little fast compared to another characters.
How much
I
they
did that
think
on purpose.
about every detail, how handcrafted this is. Like,
Till now, I always let people walk all over me. Just like that stupid dog.
it's incredible how much
He had it
thought
coming
goes
too.
into this.
Eddie?
An in-depth study of human emotions, passionate attention to detail, and perfect casting. There lies the secret of the characters in Silent Hill 2. But the monsters are every bit as ambiguous.
Creation of the monsters, something human.
The creatures in Silent Hill 2 are not your run-of-the-mill horror game monsters. They have no horns, no tentacles, no supernatural powers. They're monstrous because their shapes suggest deformed human features.
モンスターを、考える上でまず最初にテーマとしたことが
Monster designer.
人
The
間
basic idea in
の
creating the
パーツを
monsters of Silent Hill 2
そのモンスターの
was to give them a
必ず
human
ここに入れて
aspect.
でそこからプレイヤーがその
In the
モンス
beginning,
ターを見て、できるだけ人
the game player would believe they
元
were
は人なん
human
だっていうところをこう想像させた上でそこでそのモンスターが
Then, in the process, I proceeded to undermine this human aspect. When I proceeded to undermine the human aspect.
折れすぎてしまうとか
By giving weird movements to these creatures. Definitely weird movements.
そういうギャップにしたんで例えばこう酔っ払ってる人とかはこう普段
And by
と違
using
う
improbable angles for their bodies.
それに類する例えば
Based on the mannerism and movements of drunk people.
頭が大きいからこうバランス崩したりとか
Or the tentative walk of very young children.
But sometimes, inspiration strikes when least expected.
あれはあれ実際に腕が
Did you hear for the monster in a straitjacket?
ラバーのようなものでこう包まれて
Yeah,
腕がこう自由に
it's like a
利かない
straitjacket. They're like,
こんなの表現したんですけどあれは
hit me as I watched a
最初に
programmer
見た
friend
時はです
who
ね
works here.
知り合いのプログラマーの人がこう当時
One day he
日
came to see me. I saw him coming from a long way off.
本のジャージでこうポッケ
His hands were in his pockets, close to his body, and he was wearing his sweatshirt with a hood.
なんか手入れてこうこんなことしながら
He was also listening through his Walkman and walking in a cool way.
でその動きを見てなんか
That's how I got the idea for the monster. Pretty cool. Very cool.
Of course, Ito's references were not merely anecdotal. He also drew inspiration from his favourite artist, the Irish painter Francis Bacon, whose tormented features influenced the visual world of Silent Hill.
Wow.
But the most striking and original creation is indisputably the triangle-headed monster.
Pyramid head. Indeed it is. It's so iconic, this monster.
Ito draws with such ease you might think he got the result he wanted straight away. But what he was looking for was a monster with a hidden face. Like that, it was less human and therefore more disturbing. His first idea was this monster.
How was his first idea? Good, but the pyramid
Then
head
he
is
realised
better.
that it was nothing but a human in a mask.
Yeah.
So then he took the concept further, giving him a head in the shape of a triangle. He explains it this way.
この三角形のその
The triangle has right angles and acute edges. Their sharpness suggests the possibility of pain.
裏設定を説明する
And the
上で
triangle shape also helps explain the monster's role in the game.
Once the monsters had been created, all they needed were a few bizarre, disturbing monster noises and some choice musical sequences. This was a job for the sound designer Yamaoka.
Oh, what happened? Oh, I thought the video stopped. Music and sound under the skin. Music and sound design. He's also a genius, this guy. Wow. It's incredible.
僕が自分でサウンドクリエイトするときって特にその映画を見たり何かのサウンド
Movies that inspire my work for creation of Silent Hill music.
そういうのがないんですね。自分で作りたいと思ってサウンドギター持って
That's just my style.
弾いて自分で納得自分の中で納得
For
す
the
るま
main
で
theme.
時間をかけて
That literally looks like footage of your pyramid head fight. Yeah. I sat down at my
きっか
place
けっていうのは特になくて、テーマソングに関して言えば
and took 3 days to compose it. 3 days?
It's a theme that conveys the melancholy of Silent Hill
Wow,
2,
only 3 days.
which, like the game itself, plays with unlikely combinations.
毎回違うよ。普通のゲームっていうのは普通のゲームメロディーってサウンドの中でのメロディーっていうのは僕特にその重要視っていうのはある程度
I don't think that melody is the most important thing in a piece of music.
例えば
Interesting.
悲しいメロディーに強いリズム
However, for this theme, I based my music on
強いリズムっていうのを僕はすごくそれを今回はテーマに自分で作ってたん
a
です
sad melody with a strong
その
beat.
その聞いた人が悲しくなったり楽しくなったりっていうのはというよりもこのサウンドを聞いて
Above all, I want to make sure
メンタル的なところが何かが揺れたりとかっていう
that people feel something listening to my music. Definitely have to feel something. It's a masterpiece also, this song.
Yamaoka also produced all the sound effects, a total of 50 sounds, not counting the nuances. To prevent repetition, he created hundreds of footstep sounds for the characters.
Wow.
They too break with the sound rules applicable to the horror survival game.
I think that the sound in Resident Evil are, the sounds in Resident Evil are pretty formal. Okay. I would say we're used to hearing them. Yeah. Whereas for Silent Hill 2, shots fired for Tour Adressi, yeah. I really tried to create something that would surprise you. Something that would challenge your imagination. Yeah, definitely some shots fired at Resident Evil. As if it sounds were going under your skin. What I mean by that is to create a physical reaction for the player, such as a feeling of apprehension and unease.
This being said, however, Yamaoka is too good a musician not to know that silence is sometimes the best sound of all.
The job of a sound designer is not just to create sounds, so to speak. We also have to know how to use silence. I think that selecting moments of silence is another way of producing sound. Yeah, it feels scary when there is no sound at all.
The audio track of Silent Hill 2, like the graphics and animation, succeeds in creating an oppressive world, mysterious and completely original. But all of these technical exploits should not obscure what makes Silent Hill 2 a work of genius: the fear.
I love that pyramid head. Psychological horror Eros and Thanatos.
Silent Hill had another major strength in that it invented a new type of fear.
In Silent Hill 2, fear could be defined in terms of what you don't see makes you feel afraid. That's true. If you know that there is something around that you can't see, you'll be scared deep down. Especially in the beginning when you're walking around the forest, you hear something. Or in the prison, you hear it. Or in that room where the
creative people pushed their analysis much
Where we
further.
put- yeah.
This feeling of psychological terror, specific to Silent Hill 2, was the product of serious brainstorming about the human mind and heart.
Psychological horror has to shake human's heart, deeply. Shaking people's heart deeply means uncover people's core emotion and their core motivation for life. Everybody is thinking and concerning about sex and death every day.
Yeah.
And if we want to scare or shake or touch the users or spectators, then we have to think about, sex and death deeply.
The ritual demon isn't scary. He's hot.
To make like a death scene, somebody died or monsters died, or if we made that kind of scene, we try to mix erotic essence. This is kind of a visual and core concept.
You can see it in these images of dead nurses with their short skirts and low necklines. You can see it in the images of disembodied legs, or in this suggestive scene, Angela's tragedy.
How do you know about that?
And of course Maria's ambiguity, icy cold like death,
I'm not your Mary.
and suddenly sensual.
So, you're Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
To conclude, let's look at one of the most important scenes in Silent Hill 2, and that's the prison scene.
That guy gave an entire interview with his sunglasses hanging on his shirt.
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else?
When I saw this in 2001, I was speechless how good this looked.
You were
Speechless.
always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
I didn't play it, but again, I just saw this part and I was like,
ここに関しては結構僕自身も個人的に思い入れのある
when we wrote the story of Silent Hill 2,
段階からシナリオのミーティングから結構僕もここは
we immediately imagined this scene.
マリア見た目
In
は
this scene,
マリ
Maria
ア
is
なんですけ
talking
ど
to James,
不思議なちょっとメアリーっぽい
but Maria looks like Mary.
シーンですよね
Crazy how those face animations were all done by hand, though no motion capture. Wow. The point was to confuse the game players,
混乱すると思うんですけど
to get them thinking that maybe,
マリアなんだけどメアリーなんじゃない
after all, she was Mary.
っていうのをすごく出したかったシーンですね
Think how crap face animations are
Maria?
nowadays. They still don't look as good
You
as
said
that.
we took everything,
No,
but you forgot that
This.
videotape we made.
look at it.
そう
Look at
です
the
ね
movements and stuff.
初めはメアリーっぽい時は
Usually, in all
ま
the
あ今まで
other
は割と
scenes,
マリ
Mary
アは
is
セク
sexy.
シーな態度をとってたわけじゃないですかでも
But for this scene, I tried to make her less
セクシ
sexy.
ーさを心がけました
I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
Then we get to the big scene, the one where in the same shot Maria, who was playing at being Mary, becomes Maria again.
I'm not your Mary.
Notice how the sound of her voice becomes more carnal, how her gestures become sensuous again.
I am. If you want me to be.
The shift.
Never has horror been more poetic. Never has our emotional ambiguity been so skillfully exploited. The creators of Silent Hill are artists, and their game is a work of art. It's as real as this hand touching your face.
I'm real.
It is a work of
So
art,
why
this
not take
game.
another look at Silent Hill 2?
There is no excellent beauty that had not some strangeness in the proportion. Production. That was it, people. That was it. We still have a bit more, but it is incredible. It's incredible how good this game is. How, yeah, I'm speechless. I saw it back in the day, 20 years ago. I was too young to play it, but I saw those scenes that we saw before. It's incredible, even nowadays. It's like, I don't know, so much thought. They had hundreds of different sounds for the footsteps. Handcrafting, like, everything. Like, they were talking about the pupils of Eddie. about mixing this sensuality or like, yeah, with the horror. Wow, it's crazy. Yes, it's lovely spending time in Silent Hill. It is a good holiday destination, isn't it? Yeah, I'm speechless. It's really, really great. Yeah, that was it for this part. It's a 10 out of 10 game. Incredibly good.